Good evening, everybody. Well, welcome. I do have some bad news. I got a phone call earlier today from Pepper Potpourri. She's way up in the Upper Peninsula, I believe, of Michigan, and they've had a real bad storm. And because of that, they don't have internet. And so she apologized. She will be back next week. I didn't have anybody planned for next week. So she will be here next week, and you'll get a chance to meet her then. And we had a great, probably half-hour talk on the phone. It's the first time I've talked to her. I've been following her for years, but it's the first time I've really chatted with her. So looking forward to that. I kind of gave her some ideas, and we came up with some things that we want to talk about. And one of those, of course, over the transition time of the time that I've been watching YouTube and where we are now, it seems as if there's a lot of getting away from the traditional. This is what you need to do, and this is what you need to be afraid of. Is where we're going to, and so we both try to avoid that to a great extent. I'm not always successful, but I think there are times when you have to say, hey, take this into consideration. This one thing may cause a change in your plans. So Annie Luhu won. Wow, Liberty Hill. Do you realize that means that we are within half an hour of each other? I'm not going to say where I am, but I will tell you I'm within half an hour of Liberty Hill. And so as a matter of fact, one of my favorite companies, Mira Safety, is I believe they just moved to Liberty Hill, or just moved from Liberty Hill. They're moving their building. They had to get a larger building to accommodate all the stuff that they have. So welcome. Do me a favor. One of my moderators, Lori, has had some major issues, and she's been in and out of the hospital and in and out of rehab. She may not be here with us, but she always says that she requests your prayers. So if you get a chance, and if you're of that source, please remember Lori and say a prayer for her if you would. Okay, Dan H. from Massachusetts, welcome. Little Known Prepper, great to see you again as well. Jay Creature, welcome. Yes, let's do. I'm going to lead you to come up with the first topic that we're going to be discussing this evening. Triple G Farms. So there's a new one, Annie Luhu won, and Annie is from Liberty Hill. Triple G Farms is from Lampasas, and then I'm at the other end of that line. So, we're all right here together. We probably should get together. If you go to Meetup, we have a small group that meets up at Wednesdays at noon in Georgetown. So go to Meetup, and I forget what it's called, but it's a Wednesday noon in Georgetown meeting. And this is our week of not having a meeting, but next week we do have our meeting. So if you want to join us, please feel free to do that. Jay Creature, welcome. Tracy Muckenfuss, thank you. Welcome. Yeah, it was 91 when I was talking to her here in the greater Austin area. So, I woke up this morning and put on long sleeve shirts and went out. And of course, we went out to get our gardening supplies, and that was quite an experience. And I was in a long sleeve shirt, and it's 91 degrees here in the greater Austin metropolitan area, and it's just something else. Little Known Prepper, Jay. Well, I'm working on that. Maybe not to that extent, but as a matter of fact, I just exchanged emails with my contact at Mira. And she said, "Did you get the present that I sent you? And when are you going to do a video on it?" And I said, "I'm going to open it tomorrow and do a video tomorrow." What has happened? Let me bring you up to date. A week ago, Saturday, a stupid 70-year-old guy with a brand new titanium hip thought that it might be okay to go do some manual labor at the church. And so I spent 5 hours cutting picking up lumber, putting it onto a trailer. We got 3 trailers full, and then disposing of the wood and cutting it up and everything else, and bunching it, and throwing it. And all that twisting and turning and everything else on my brand new hip did not do me any good. So I was kind of down and out. And then Friday, I found out the rec center had a trip, and we went on a fantastic trip up to Waco. And in Waco, there was some kids that were actually looking for copperheads. They were trying to kill copperhead snakes, and they were walking in a riverbed, and they found what they thought was a skull sticking up out of the riverbed. So they went and got the sheriff's department. Sheriff's department came and took a look at it, and they said, no, we need to get the paleontologist from um, Baylor out here to take a look at it. So the paleontologist from Baylor came out and looked at it, and it turned out to be the femur. So the part we were seeing was the ball and socket for the femur of a Colombian mammoth, the largest mammoth to ever been found. And there's I think there's a total of 15 mammoth skeletons right there, right outside. And as a matter of fact, it's within 15 minutes of the Waco Zoo. So just this humongous mammoth find. So that was just quite an adventure, but it was an awful lot of walking. So Saturday, Sunday, and today, I've kind of been keeping it a little bit on the trying to rest, recuperate, do my exercises they gave me at physical therapy, and a little bit of pain management. And tomorrow I'll go back and see my acupuncturist and see what we can do to get my stupidity corrected, if there is a correction to it. So let me see where we are. Any suggestions for topics this evening? I know there's an awful lot going on here in Texas. We had a referendum, not a referendum, but we had a petition, and the petition does have enough signatures. And so on that petition, it will be on the ballot, the 2023 ballot for the 2024 service, beginning the 2024 service year. And on that petition, it is asking for a secession of Texas from the United States. So I know that Marjorie Taylor Greene and some others have been talking about the Great American Divorce. And I will tell you, it is going to be on the ballot in Texas at the end of this year, come November. So, it is it is something that we are discussing, and it is something that we will be voting on. I don't know if there's any precedent for it. Now, theoretically, as a federalist form of government, states are free to enter and to leave at will. And we saw the attempt by states to leave in 1860, and that met with some armed opposition, some armed coercion not to leave the country. But it's between or among all the different things we have going on, the differences in politics and ideologies, and the value of religion and the value of morality, and all these different things. Right now, we are basically a country that is imploding. And I would hate to think of where we are going to be in the very near future. James Carroll, hello. So see above. Let me look up above. Yep. It's always somebody else. And you're absolutely right. And so one of the things that we need to talk about kind of a little bit this evening, and hopefully everybody will cooperate. Let me see here. Butch Graves, welcome from Colorado. And Hello Tofu, there's one of my moderators, formerly LG. Dragon Slayer, welcome. No, you're not. You're never too late. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Lisa B, welcome from Massachusetts. I did a little bit of time in Massachusetts. Triple G Farms, thanks once again. You are just phenomenal as far as your support. Thank you so much. We do need to get you on and talk about pharmacologicals here in the very near future. But let me see, where was I? Yes, and so Annie Luhu one, come to that Wednesday noon prepper get together, and I forget the name of the coffee shop. It's in Wolf Ranch in Georgetown. Is where we meet, but there's a coffee shop there that we meet at. Um, well, this old horse is probably worn beyond the glue stage. Um, but one of the things we want to talk about is we need to be doing stuff, guys and gals. Um, we really need to focus on getting our preps up. There's all kinds of stuff coming at us from all different directions, and I've tried to have a couple of discussions here on our Monday night interviews and a couple other things. We've had Ceci Gal prepping, we've had prepping with Sarge, we've had some various and sundry psychologists and sociologists talking about how important it is that we have the right mindset. We even talked about the poem thinking, and everything is a state of mind. It's where you think you are. And so I think one of the things um, that we need to talk about is how do we get ourselves in the right state of mind? Oh, wow. Triple G Farm says he has an idea for us. Let me see if I can find it here. Um, we won't close our borders. We're going to close the borders to the south. That's a responsibility of the federal government, and they have fallen apart in doing that. We will close the borders to the south, and that's what it is. Okay, so let's talk about assault weapons bans. You realize that an assault weapon has never existed. So originally it was thought to be the Tommy gun, the 45 caliber Thompson submachine gun. Then they thought it was the Browning automatic rifle. And because these were fully automatic rifles that were, and as a matter of fact, the Browning automatic rifle was the preferred weapon of Clyde Barrow when he did his bank robberies. So then the Firearms Act of 1933 outlawed private citizens having basically machine guns without having a specific kind of Class 3 license. So there was no at one time, as a matter of fact, the Germans in World War II asked that the 12 gauge double-aught buckshot be made against the Geneva Convention because it was considered an assault weapon. So assault is a verb, and any weapon is going to be an assault weapon if you are using it to attack somebody else. So what has happened is we've tried to get this term floating that sounds very threatening of an assault rifle, assault weapon. And that primarily comes from a lack of knowledge. So the original Armalite rifle that was designed and was put into competition to replace the M14 because the M14 was too heavy and the M14 ammunition, the .308 ammunition, was too heavy. And so originally it was an AR-10, which was the Armalite gas tube, piston-driven recoil. And that was in the 7.6251 or 308. And so the Army said, no, we want something lighter for jungle warfare. So that's when they came out with the 5.56 millimeter. So what has happened is the group that wants to abrogate the Second Amendment says that AR does not stand for Armalite rifle. It stands for assault rifle. So anything that has, and they're trying to define these, if it has a carrying handle, if it has a front foregrip, if it has a magazine of 20 rounds or greater, that then becomes what is called an assault rifle. As a matter of fact, I had to go to the courthouse today, and I was talking to the sheriff's deputy as I went through the metal detector. And I said, so tell me, what is Williamson County Sheriff's Department carrying nowadays? Are you carrying that big, bad, overly destructive 9mm ammunition that the president wants to outlaw? And the sheriff's deputy looked at me, he chuckled, he says, we're allowed to have whatever caliber we want as long as it's 9mm, 40 caliber, or 45 caliber. Well, the funny thing, and he got what I was getting at, was 9mm was the smallest of the 3 rounds that the Williamson County Sheriff's Department is allowed to carry. So, that's what the president the president's trying to build up this big thing about this super destructive 9 millimeter round and get everybody all built up around that so that he can outlaw it along with the AR platform. Now, realize that the AK platform is totally different, that it uses a totally different system. And the Uzi system uses totally blowback. So, I mean, it's not necessarily, and I had a picture and I put it up. If I had known the discussion was going to be here, I would have it out tonight. And we had a guy running for governor here in Texas, and he wanted to outlaw assault weapons. And the thing is, his district that he represents, my hometown, El Paso, has the 1st Cavalry Divisions. He's got pretty close to 4,000 soldiers that he could have gone and said, hey guys, what's the difference between a military weapon and a civilian weapon? So he could find out that there is a selector switch, and the civilian has 2 positions, safe and fire. So fire is pull the trigger once, semi-auto, you get 1 bang going out the end. Then the military has safe, semi, burst, and full auto. So burst is 3 rounds at a time, and then full auto, you can, as long as you have your finger pulled on the trigger, it's going to go. As a matter of fact, what's her name? Nancy Grace. I still won't watch her. I refuse to watch her because when that guy was being tried for shooting the guy in Minneapolis, she was talking with Dan Bongino on her show. And Dan Bongino says the guy was defending himself, and she said he was using a machine gun. And obviously she doesn't know what she's talking about. So she's part of that crowd that I consider to be those who are less than informed on the differences in different kinds of ideas about what's going on with the Second Amendment. Texas leaves, Mexico seizes it. I think it'd probably be the other way around, to be totally honest with you. Right now, there is no federal structure in Mexico to speak of. You've got the 4 big cartels that are running the country of Mexico. As a matter of fact, if you take a look, when's the last time you heard of anything from the Crips or the Bloods? So the only gang that is probably still operating with any kind of structure is MS-13, and that's because the cartels have taken over so much inside the U.S., not just what they're doing inside Mexico and Colombia, but they've also got a very large presence here in the U.S. They're even joining the military forces so that they can learn how to fight better should it come to that. But I would say that it'd be the other way around. That if Texas leaves, it might take over Mexico just for self-defense purposes. So, what are my thoughts on the trouble spot in Europe going nuclear? New York Prepper was showing today that they were moving some of their tactical nukes and some of their wheel-borne strategic nukes to mobile deployment sites. So my thoughts on it escalating are we have gotten ourselves into a precarious position now. And the precarious position is, what will we do to keep Ukraine from losing? And right now we've got a war of attrition. And unfortunately, the Russians have far more bodies that they can throw into this quagmire than do the Ukrainians. It appears that there are 2 divisions of Ukrainians about ready to be cut off in Bakhmut. And if they start losing, divisions at a time with this new Russian offensive, then they're going to have to do something to maintain their autonomy, or else they'll be totally taken over. And so the question becomes one then of what are we, NATO, willing to do to protect the Ukraine? The other portion of that is as we get more and more weaponry into Ukraine, provided they have the manpower to staff up those weapon systems, if they deter the progress by Russia, then at what point will Russia say we need to get this kickstarted again, and throw something else into the soup in order to get it to spice up a little bit? Um, I'm going to give it 6 months to a year before we probably see something like that happening. It could be even less than that. I'm going to say we probably have, gosh, right now we're getting into the thaw. So what happens is beginning in March and April, we see the thaw in that portion of the world, and so it's going to get too muddy for any kind of actual maneuverability. So unless it's going to be done primarily through aviation or through drones, things during April, May, March, April, May, they kind of slow down. You have to stick to roads. Remember what happened last year when they stuck to the roads? We had that mile-long convoy that just was decimated, that was coming down towards Kiev from the northern border. And so I don't think that that's going to. I don't think we're going to see anything dramatic over the course of the next 3 months once the thaw happens. And we've had an unseasonably warm winter as well. So I think the ground is going to be a little bit too muggy for any kind of major maneuvers for the next 2 to 3 months. Let me see here. Yeah, do me a favor, follow Triple G Farms if you would, please. Great, thank you, Little Lone Prepper, for putting that up. And if you could put everybody up, I was talking earlier that I may go back to my Saturday night. I'll follow you if you'll follow me type of a venue on where we'd put everybody's links and ask you to follow that person. What I found out was I revisited the rules for YouTube, and we're not allowed to do that. So, however, we can put up links to all of you guys here on it when we're doing something else and just say the links are there, and these are, all of my subscribers I consider to be fantastic people. Please subscribe to them because I think a lot of them, they ask good questions in the comments and do supporting things in the comments. So that would be a good time for you to show them that you support them as well. There are a couple states who have said that they're going to go back to what they call constitutional money, and that is gold and silver. Remember that Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution gives Congress the authority to mint money, not to print, but to mint money, and that would be gold and silver. And so anything we can do to avoid the CBDC is going to be fantastic. But remember, the CBDC is basically already here. How many of you use other than currency to complete your transactions? Now, when I say other than currency, there are two major means. The major means when I was growing up was a check. The major means now is a credit card. So both of those are basically a digital currency. That's a bank transfer. There's no actual cash, no printed cash or no coins changing hands. That's an electronic transfer of funds digitally between one bank and the other. So we kind of already have it. We're just going to go to a predominance of it. And that's what I like. I think a lot of states are saying that they don't want to see happen. People want to be able to use cash. Remember that the cash is the currency of the United States. Oh gosh, am I really far behind in comments? Let me see here. I'm going to order a Jace case tomorrow. My friend walked out on her deck barefoot, got a large sliver, and her foot got so infected she was hospitalized over a splinter. It looked really bad. Little Lone Prepper, if I can stress, this is one of the most important things in a post-apocalyptic environment that you're going to have. So my daughter was maybe, I'm going to say 7 or 8 years old. And we were getting ready for my mother-in-law's birthday up in Brownwood. And so it was like a Thursday evening. I was out in the garage piddling around, and I scraped my leg on something in the garage. Well, Friday morning, we had all of our staff meetings at Dell. And so I was going to the Coke machine every hour and buying a new can of cold Coke to put on my leg because it was swollen and red and hurt and burned so bad it was pitiful. Finally, about 4 o'clock, I gave up and went to the emergency room. They took a magic marker and traced the outline around the infection and gave me a shot of Rocephin. Let me tell you, this thing hurts so bad. They mix it with lidocaine. to try to lessen the pain when they give it to you IV. I am. When you get it IV, you don't feel it at all. I've had it when I had MRSA pneumonia. They gave it to me when I had MRSA pneumonia. Did not feel it at all. But when they give it to you IM, it made me pass out. That's how bad it hurt. And they said, okay, now go home, come back tomorrow. Let's see how this looks, and let's see if it's gotten any worse. I went back the next day. I couldn't go to my mother-in-law's birthday party because of my leg. And they took a look at the area that they had drawn the circle around. And they said, good, it's gone down. We're going to give you another shot of Rocephin. And so they gave me another shot of Rocephin. I passed out again. When I came to, they said, if that had not gone down, that kind of infection, we would have had to have amputated your leg. So getting the proper dosage and amount of antibiotics in your body quickly is extremely critical. And notice I said the correct antibiotic is extremely critical. Let me see here. So I think it's a creature says that's not a good move for the police department. Well, it may or may not be. I don't know. It allows them to have their own weapon that they're most familiar with, that they've used for a while. I know that in our group, I have written down the weapons that I prefer, and I've written down the calibers I prefer. And the reason is not because I have a thing attached to it. It's just the more weapons we have of the same caliber, the easier it is to provide ammunition for everybody, the better. And if we have one make of weapon for that caliber, the easier it is to interchange parts and to share magazines. And I think, magazines is going to be one of the most important things, especially in a firefight, or at least in my experience in the military, has been one of the most important things. So Triple G Farm says and now he knows about antibiotics. You can probably give a discussion on Rocephin and how it works as well, Triple G. I agree with you, Dragon Slayer. I wholeheartedly agree with you. The military hunting. As a matter of fact, I have to confess, I had a belief set that turned out to be totally wrong. I mean, I was totally wrong. I was convinced in 2018, 2019, that should there be an ammunition shortage, there would be no ammunition shortage in the hunting calibers. The 308, the 7mm, the 270, the Remington 270, the 30-06, the 308, all of the common 30-30, all the common hunting calibers would be plentiful on the shelves. Boy, was I wrong. When 2019, 2020, February 2020, when we had the lockdown, all of a sudden I couldn't go hunting. There was no 30-30 ammunition, and 308 was hard to find. Now 308 was easier to find because 308 and 7.6251 are basically the same round. So that means that that's a NATO caliber. So what we saw was that they focused their manufacturing on military calibers, 9mm, 5.56 or 2.223, and 308, 7.6251. So those were the three calibers you could find on the shelves. I couldn't find any 357, 38 special, but I could find the military calibers. So I was wrong, and I'm sorry, I made a boo-boo. Hey, Pete, welcome aboard. So Pete did a fantastic video earlier today, the Roaming Prepper, and it was talking about, I think that was an F4F Hellcat he was using as an example, but it has Hershey's written on it. And he was talking about how the Sidewinder missile took out the balloon and some of the other things. And his ideas about the balloon and whether or not, if you want, Pete, I can give you the link to come on. Come on. Oh, my button is not allowing me to go down. I don't know why. Lori's Thrifty Kitchen, there she is. Everybody say hi, welcome. We are so glad that she's here. This is the one I asked you for earlier to make sure that Well, it won't be this Wednesday, Annie Luhu. So you're very, very lucky there. It won't be this Wednesday. It'll be the following Wednesday. So make plans for the following Wednesday. Lori, I'm so glad you could make it. We asked for your prayers for you earlier, explaining that you are still kind of laid up. I'm going to go over to a mouse because I'm having a hard time with this keypad. Let me see. Come on, mouse, connect. Okay, there we are. We're connected. Sassy Gal Prepping. I was just talking about you too. You guys, whenever I say your names, you just automatically pop up, right? I was talking earlier about, one of the things we got to do is we got to make sure we have the right mindset for where we are in preparation for all this stuff that's going to come down on us like a ton of bricks. And I think there are far too many people who have given up on themselves. They're using religion as an excuse to give up, and they're giving futility as an excuse to give up. And they just don't have the desire to survive. And I think that's terrible. That's atrocious, because really all you have to do is a little bit of effort, and the vast majority of what's going to happen to us, we can pretty much survive what's coming. Isn't that the truth? I'm fluent in German when I drink too. And as a matter of fact, when I was at Woolly Mammoth, or at the Mammoth site in Waco, I bought a whiskey glass so I can start drinking some of my Buffalo Trace and the Eagle Rare. So let me tell you what's really, really good about Jace Medical. If you take a look inside my kit, you're not going to find amoxicillin. And there's a very good reason why you're not going to find amoxicillin. Where's the zipper? There it is. A very good reason why you're not going to find amoxicillin in my kit. Anybody want to guess why? Because I'm allergic to it. If I take amoxicillin, or azithromycin. I'm sorry, azithromycin. If I take azithromycin, I have anaphylactic shock. And so my tongue swells up so bad that I can't breathe, I can't swallow, I can't do anything. And so I don't have any azithromycin. I do have, so they substituted amoxicillin for the azithromycin. But they work with you on that. I'm also allergic to formaldehyde and formoterol. And those are the two most common preservatives used in medications and everything else. And the way I found out, I fell asleep on our leather couch. And so my hand was just on the leather couch. And I got this real bad rash on my hand. So I went to Walmart and I bought the Equate version of a topical Benadryl to put on my hand. What I didn't know was that topical Benadryl is preserved with a form of formaldehyde. So I was rubbing the very thing that I was allergic to onto my hand, trying to prevent the allergic reaction, and ended up going to the doctor, and they did the back thing and everything else. And it turns out that I'm allergic to formaldehyde and formoterol. Okay. Dragon Slayer. The only thing he uses is cash unless it's on Amazon. Well, we like I use my USAA credit card. We get 2% cash back, and we pay it off every month. So here's what we do. We use our Amazon card. As a matter of fact, I ordered $100 worth of number 10 cans today. Some more Mother Earth products, a vegetable sampler kit. I ordered a number 10 can of corn. I noticed that I only had like 250 servings of corn left. I ordered a number 10 can of green beans. Let me check my inventory here. So corn, I was down to 223 servings, and green beans, I am down to 286 servings. So because of that, I ordered some more. I would order them from Thrive Life. I'm a distributor there. I have been for 20 years. But I saved $20 by getting it from Amazon through Algerson Farms. So I'm all for, trying to get the best value for your money that you can find. If it means not making a penny, but saving you money on something, then, that's what I want to do. As a matter of fact, I used to follow a guy, and so he dug out this $300 order from Nutrient Survival. And he says, and I used my 10% discount coupon. And I said, so I put a little note underneath. I said, there are some better deals you could have gotten, instead of 10% off. You could have gotten the sample packet, which is valued at $37.50, and that would have gotten you $7.50 more of a discount. You could have gotten a free can of cookies, which are the chocolate chip nutrition cookies, which is basically a survival meal. 2 cookies is 1 meal. And that would have saved you $42.50. There are some things you could have done other than using the 10% discount code and gotten more for your money. His response back to me was, well, I use Alaska Prepper's discount code. And I said, well, that's great. I'm glad you do. Does he support your channel? And he said, well, I don't think he even knows that I exist. And I said, okay, well, here's the thing. I can give you a discount coupon for 10% for nutrient survival. Would you use my discount code? Because I support you. I follow your channel. And he says, no, I only support Alaska Prepper. I said, okay. I said, yeah, I guess you don't want me to watch your channel anymore. So, maybe that's childish of me. I don't know. But it started out, all I wanted to do, I didn't mention my code at all. All I wanted to do was help him save his money and get more for his money. And that's the way I am. I'm going to help you try to get as much for your money as possible, because I think it's more than me making money. Because if shit hits if poo-poo hits the fan tomorrow, what am I going to do with the money? It's much more important that other preppers survive than I have money that I can't use tomorrow. So that's my personal opinion. Take it for what it is. Miss Lori, I hope you're still enjoying your canned soup. Thank you for that reminder, Lori. Yes, the Jace case is superior. And I'm not the only person who does that. At Sassy Gal Prepping, you could use her code. Prepping by Faith has a discount code. We all have the same discount code. So yeah, you can use any of our discount codes. It does not, whoever you want to support, that's fine. As long as you get it, that's what's important. I think that's going to be very critical. Now, the one that I'm going to be doing tomorrow from Mira Safety, they have a vegetable and fruit decontamination device. So that if you have fruits or vegetables out in your backyard, if you have a nice garden going and all of a sudden SHTF happens and you've got that fallout coming down on top of your fruits and vegetables, how do you clean those properly so that you can eat them? And that's what I'm going to be reviewing tomorrow. Is they sent me a vegetable and fruit decontamination machine that I'll be taking a first look at. I'll open the box and take a first look at it tomorrow, and I'll be doing a review on that. So, that's another one of those great things that we have here. Oh my gosh, who's your prepping nurse? What a fantastic suggestion. That is a great suggestion. Now, in my little PPE kit that I keep in the cars, in my little Ziploc bags, I put in painter's booties. So that so I put those booties over my boots or my shoes in the truck. And that way, if they get any fallout or anything else on them, I can take those off. And that's going to give me relatively clean shoes or boots to wear into the decontamination point. But that's a fantastic idea to be able to inspect in other places as well. Let me see here. Gosh, I'm way behind in the comments. So let me see what happened. When I was a child, I got a puncture wound. Yes. So you want to make sure you treat those, get the antibiotics in you as quickly as possible. Gosh, it's just not letting me rotate. There we go. Wow. I did not know that. Yeah, and I have some kind of, I guess you could call them pimples or blackheads or whatever. Every once in a while I scratch off. But I guess that's the advantage of having a spouse, is they occasionally can inspect you as well, and take a look at things in places you don't typically look at. Uh, yeah, for those of you who don't know, Triple G knows probably more than about uh, pharmaceuticals than anybody else here. Uh, my beard, believe it or not, used to be solid white, and then when I had my teeth pulled and the drilling done in my jaw and these new very expensive teeth put in, I've got trickles of black. So I think that's from the bruising. I don't know, bruised follicles, bruised hair follicles for the beard. You're probably going to see it a little bit shorter here in the near future. You can't get a good seal on a mask if you have a beard. And, back in February of last year, I shaved it all off because I thought we were going to go to thermonuclear war right off the bat. And so I didn't. I kept it shaved for a while. Now it's probably back to. Okay, here's a good question. Jay Creature, why no medical alert bracelet? Well, you never know. Okay, so I have my crucifix, and people say, why do you have Jesus on the cross? And that's because of 1 Corinthians 1:31, and St. Paul says that we preach to the Gentiles and to the heathens a crucified Christ. And so that's why we have Christ on the crucifix. And then right beside that is my St. Michael medal. And then right behind that is my Med Alert. So it's got everything you need to know. And then, of course, on the Med Alert, you also have a referral. So in my wallet, I carry two things right here together. So show you here. Well, I've got three things actually. I've already paid for my funeral. So my embalming and everything and all that kinds of stuff, that's already paid for. So it basically says, if you find me dead, just take me to this funeral home. But I've got my Med Alert card that has all of my medical information, my history, allergies, all that kinds of stuff. I keep an information pad in here of all of my surgeries, all of my metal that inserts into my body and everything else, all the medications that I'm currently taking. So all of that's inside my wallet in case they need to see it. And then I carry this one, and so that they know that should anything happen, that I would like to have extreme unction, which is last rites said by a Catholic priest. So so all of that is right there together based off of my necklace rather than a bracelet. Oh, let me cover up my name. Talking about one of these. So yeah, so we keep that handy as well. That's an essential thing I carry with me, part of my everyday carry. So Triple G. Yes, and so is a member of my family. I'm allergic to all the psyllins. So yeah, same thing. They gave her the Z-Pack in place of the psyllins. Let me see. Lots of bad reactions to trimethoprim, including platelet counts crashing. Wow. Yeah, there's different things. And so we're in the process now. One of my family members, we're in the process of changing over. It's a brittle type 1 diabetic. And so insulin pump dependent. And so the insulin that you have to manually prick your finger and then enter in to the computer what your current blood sugar is. And then the computer injects insulin according to what your current blood sugar is. There's a newer model out that is finally approved for Medicare payments, and it's got a constant sampling. So it does every 15-minute blood sampling. So you just insert the system into your bloodstream once, where you can get a sample of your blood, and it's going to sample every 15 minutes and then inject as necessary. So we're looking forward to that arriving. Uh, okay. Wow. Well, that's great that you got something to improve your mobility. Um, I'm not sure what they gave me. They were giving me Rocephin IV when I was in the hospital with MRSA pneumonia, and so had this. The doctor was phenomenal. He wanted me to take a pill, but the pill was like $1,200 a pill for this antibiotic, and so both Medicare and TRICARE, which is my retired military, both of them refused to pay for it. So he said, okay, you guys, if you don't want to pay for a pill a day, then I can keep them here in ICU on Rocephin IV, and you're going to spend $4,000 a day instead. So it only took about 4 hours for them to see the medical or the cost advantage of sending me home on a pill a day rather than keeping me in the hospital. So let me see here. So anyhow, so what do you all think about, what are you doing to keep your mind straight? How are you handling all the stress and pressure of all this stuff that's going on and the possibility of nuclear war and all that kinds of stuff? So what are some of the things that we can do? Your suggestions, what are some of the things that we can do to keep our minds straight, to keep our heads above board? We are going to be the leaders in anything that happens post-apocalyptic. We're going to have to be the ones who try to instill a sense of security, instill a sense of providence, instill a sense of hope to our fellow human beings. So, what are we doing to take care of ourselves so that we can do that um, in the case of an emergency? So, 11th ACR. All right. Um, So 11th ACR was, I believe, 7th Corps when I was in Europe, and then no, second was 7th Corps, and 11th was 5th Corps, if I remember that right. But anyhow, I like Mira Safety. They have two masks that are about $20 difference. I like the plain, just solid piece. I think it's the MP, and it's about 429 if I remember correctly. It's got the standard 9 millimeter screw-on filter and everything else. So everything that you were used to in the military is what it has, and so I just think it's a fantastic piece. There's no obstructions to vision or anything else. The other thing I like about it is if you have to wear glasses. Now, one thing I didn't like about the old M19 was, they had the two eyes here and then you had the cheek filters. But the one thing I did not like about that was if you wore glasses, and I wore glasses back then you had to have special inserts made. What I like about the Mira mask is you can wear glasses. Now you just have to be careful about your seal. So if you have your glasses just short of where they come towards the earpiece, then you should be okay if you have to wear glasses, but and not have to worry about getting too much of um, a visual insert. Yes, that is absolutely true. Who's your prepping nurse? So I asked my physician. I have probably the best general practitioner in the greater Austin area. As a matter of fact, most of the other doctors and healthcare professionals use him as their family doctor. And so I was talking to him. I said, "Hey, we have a group, and we're looking for a physician." He says, "Oh, there's a group of retired special forces here in town, and I'm their physician, in case anything happens." And then I think I ran into them, and we were eating lunch at a burger joint, and I always have my Cold War prepper, Army Security Agency, and then my Vigilant Always crest and my W3 bar on. And this guy comes up and says, "Hey, Chief," and we started talking, and these three SF guys were probing me about prepping and everything else. And so I think they were part of that group, and they were probing me to see whether or not they want to invite me to be a member or not. I don't know. Um, Okay, Jay Creature says, always keep a sacrificial credit card to pop locks and open doors. Uh, yes, yes. Um, and so that's kind of what I can do with my metal alert card. It's a little bit it's flexible, but it's a little bit sturdier than a credit card. Okay, let me see. Where were we? Come on. I went over to the mouse because I thought it'd be easier, and it's not. Uh, So everybody should have a sphygmomanometer, and I have two of them. My personal opinion, for what it's worth, I'm kind of the same way about sphygmomanometers as I am about suture kits, as I am about a stethoscope, as I am about a staple kit, as I am about having a surgical kit. If you don't know how to use it and you don't know how to interpret it, then I'm not so good having it as a piece of your equipment is any good at all. And so, yes, I think that if you know how to use it, you should have a sphygmo, you should have a good stethoscope, you should have, as a matter of fact, I have an extra stethoscope still in the box, and I will probably give that away when I go to 10,000 subscribers. So as a matter of fact, I will. I'll give away a stethoscope when I go to 10,000 subscribers. Um, I may give away a used Sphygmo when I get to 5,000. We'll see. Pennsylvania EM2. Well, thank you for being here. Gosh, you were quiet and I didn't see you. But thank you for being here. Appreciate you watching. Make sure you come back. I really, really appreciate that. Um, So walking to keep your mind straight, absolutely. Just concentrating on walking again, like Lori says, focusing on your health, making time for yourself to do things. So I have found, well, I made a promise when my wife was in a real bad car wreck 4 years ago. I made a couple promises because she had her pelvis was shattered in 7 places. She had 3 breaks in her arm. She had some severe cutting and bruising from the seat belts and traumatic brain injury and skull fracture. And I mean, it was touch and go. And I made some promises. And so as a result of those promises, what I found is the power of prayer. So I do in the morning, I probably spend a half hour in prayer. And then at 2 o'clock every day, I watch the Divine Mercy Chaplet. I participate in the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and that's with the Marian Fathers out of Stonebridge, Massachusetts. We're supposed to do that at 3 o'clock, but because they do it at 3, and that's Eastern time, I do it at 2, which is Central time. And then they also come back and they do the rosary every day at 5 o'clock their time, which is 4 o'clock my time. So I probably spend an hour and a half to 2 hours a day in prayer. And that's in appreciation and thankfulness for giving me my wife back from a terrible car wreck. So a lot of that is just prayers of thanks and praise because I, I got her back. That's what's most important. Dragon Slayer says he's the sniper in the group. Got a great rifle. Oh, wow. Up to 1.5 miles. That's fantastic. So I have my hunting rifles. My longer range hunting rifle is in 308. And then my shorter range hunting rifle, and I actually use it primarily because I have a low light scope on it, a night scope. And so I use it primarily for feral hogs. But that's a Gunsight Scout, Ruger Gunsight Scout bolt action 308. And then, of course, my favorite deer hunting rifle is my 30-30. God, I love that rifle. Um, but unfortunately, it doesn't have a sling, doesn't have a lot of things, that makes it easier to hunt the brush with. But yeah, so all of those are going to be a little bit longer range than what a lot of people are typically going to think is a good range for a rifle. The bad thing is, gosh, I bang my scope around when I'm out in the bush like you would not believe. Uh, I would like to just get to one place where I could, get in a blind, zero it, and just leave it. But so, oops, wait a second. I think I left the dog outside. Nope, nope, nope. It's bugs trying to get into the light. Okay, so yeah, and so one of the nice things about being old is you get cataracts, and then when you get cataracts, um, what's the name of that company? The one that oh, what's my insurance company? What's the name of it? Got a senior moment. Um, Medicare. Medicare does pay for cataract surgery. So I went from up until 5 years ago, I was 2,600 and 2,400. And now I'm 2030 and 2020 because of the implants that they did after they removed the cataracts. So it's just great. So I don't know if I could see a mile and a half, but with a scope, yeah, probably. Um, I am trying to get the wife and daughter out to the range, and we'll see what we can do. So S.J. Mullen says a battery-operated cuff is easier to use. Yep. Now I have to do this 3 times a day. So yeah, we got the pulse oximeter. I'm on oxygen therapy at night. So what was I going to say? Oh, let me tell you about the sphygmo manometer. I don't like. We have a battery operated cuff, okay, that goes around the wrist, and you just have to keep it at heart level, and we will use that the majority of the time. When I was driving ambulances when I was younger, the doctors taught us how to, because you can't hear anything in an ambulance, basically. And so, he taught us to watch for the jump in the needle for the systolic and for the diastolic. So I can basically, with plus or minus 5 degrees, I can tell you a person's blood pressure just by watching the cuff. So I don't have to listen for the heartbeat, in the arterial vein, in the artery. So I don't have to listen for when it cuts in and it cuts out. You can just watch it and see the beating of it on the if you're using a normal sphygmo. Okay, so Sassy Gal says she spends an hour. Yeah, I'm an introvert basically. I prefer to do things with all by myself, and so yeah, kind of like Sassy Girl, I think. And so I have to prepare myself to be with other people for the rest of the day. And so yeah, I have to make sure that my intentions are right. So I think Sassy Girl's got it right. Start the day off in prayer and meditation. And what are you going to accomplish today? So and then watch your words. Is it necessary? Is it truthful? And is it kind? And but most importantly, is it necessary? Are you going to gain anything by what you say? So sometimes we can be very, very critical of other people. Maybe it was necessary to correct them in a thought process or something like that, but was the way we did it the best possible way? So a lot of times I have to focus on myself in the morning to get myself prepared for that, because I can be a caustic sob, and I really don't want to be. I want to be as kind and loving as possible. That's what we're supposed to be here on this earth. Hello, Kill It and Grill It. Yes. So anyhow, so I am sold with the Marlin. Okay, so uh, have a Henry 22, but what I don't like about the Henry is it's tube loading and side ejecting. Okay, and I don't want a tube loader. And then the Winchester is side loading, okay, but top ejecting. So with a Winchester, you can't have a scope. So I wanted a Marlin because Marlin is side loading and side ejecting. So that way I can just lay it over on its side and put any extra rounds in I need. I don't have to worry about going down to a tube or anything like that, like you do on a Henry. So the three basic lever actions are the Henry, the Winchester, and the Marlin. And of the three, my personal favorite is just the Marlin. Although I do have a Henry, and I sure wouldn't mind getting a Henry Long Ranger, which is basically a lever action 556, and it also comes in 308. So, would love to have either one of those. It's got a special locking mechanism on the bolt, so you get better pressure. Um, Yes, eating healthy is going to be very critical, especially. And I don't know. Has anybody tried this? Uh, 3 pills of fruit and 3 pills of veggies a day. I forget what it's called, but you're taking 6 of these nutrient supplements, veggies and fruits every day, and it's on TV all the time. Has anybody else uh, tried those? Okay, y equals mx plus b. How's that? Or a plus b squared is equal to a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Uh, let's see where else we are. So Henry has a new rifle, has a side load gate and the tube load on the same gun. Well, that's great to know. I like Henry. Henry has high, fantastic quality. Uh, absolutely. Uh, Triple G, have a great evening. Please stay safe and hope to get to see you here shortly. What is the name of that? Gosh, anyhow, I want to find out if it's any good. Um, Either Sassy Gal or Prepper Dog. Maybe it was Goshen Prepping. Recommended that I start taking, or they didn't recommend. They gave a deal. They were talking about the advantages of apple cider vinegar pills, and I've started taking those and feel there we go. That's it. Balance of nature, and but so I started taking apple cider vinegar pills, and those are fantastic. Uh, Okay, so where are we for the rest of the week? So uh, tomorrow night we're going to do chapters 5 and 6 of um, oh, it's over here of Decline and Decay. Uh, so we will be discussing fire and water tomorrow. So fire starting in water, how to collect it, how to purify it. Tomorrow morning I go to um, sign the contract. So I am getting a rainwater harvesting kit, and going to go sign that contract tomorrow morning and order the kit, and then have somebody install it for me because I'm 70 and don't want to do that myself. Had a guy today come take a look at extending my gutters, and so we're going to have the builder who built the house has gutters on the front of the house and on the back of the house, but nothing on the sides. And so I want to have, since I'm going to have my rainwater catchment system back here in this corner back here, I want to have this side guttered so that I can catch all that water. Texas does not get that much water, so I want to make sure I get as much of it as possible. Best year to be alive. Well, 1984 is when Helen and I got married, so I guess that we could call that the best year to be alive. I will tell you, 1977 from Thanksgiving Day, 1977, to the end of November 1980. I was at Fuel Station Augsburg in Germany, and I was single, living in the bachelor enlisted quarters. I was a senior NCO. And between the music, between just being able to do what I loved as a job, I mean, that if I could have stayed in Augsburg, Germany, doing what I did for the rest of my life, I would have been extremely happy. I loved that job. I loved what I did. I loved the significance that it carried. I loved the music at that time. I loved my room, German beer, German bread, German food. Oh gosh, just 1977 and 1980. I'm going to say that's my favorite time. 1984, second favorite, because that's when we got married. And then most of 1984, of course, was honeymoon. We went to Amsterdam and Paris and London and Berlin. And oh my gosh, we just had a blast. And all that basically on tours and travel, military tours and travels. Um, And so that's going to be 5 and 6. Remember that the end of March, we're going to be doing book number 5 of a American series, and that's going to be Resurrecting Home. So remember now in book 4, they took care of the DHS camp. They're moving out of the cabins, going to go back into their homes, which have been trashed by the Golden Horde of people who are walking through the area and just tearing things up. And and then a week from today, we're going to have Prepper Potpourri. I'm still trying to get a couple other people. If you know somebody who's really good with essential oils or any other kind of homeopathic healing, let me know. I would like to get Rogue Preparedness on here as well. Oh, wow. Yeah. See, Lori, you're 15 years younger than I am. Gosh, the high school years, 1966 to 69, was just phenomenal. The music, the music. I mean, music from 65 until, oh gosh, I'm going to say probably until 87, which is phenomenal as far as music. Just great. So your youngest graduated high school in 1990. My daughter was born in 89. Okay, so that's kind of where we are. Thank you all so much for spending some time with me this evening. I really do appreciate it. I hope that we can get a whole bunch of great people here to fill your minds with great stuff. Like I said, go back and view that one that Pete put out today with the roaming prepper, where he's talking about, now he's an aerospatial engineer. So he kind of does this looking at it from an engineering point of view on the takedown of the big balloon and the other balloons. And so he kind of goes into a description of how that worked. He talks about the fragmentation of the Sidewinder and how that kind of helped that balloon come down and all these other different kinds of things. So just a phenomenal video that I really, really enjoyed. Prepper Dog had a good one today. Canadian Prepper had a pretty good one. That not quite as much gloom and doom as normal. And but things are not looking good. So I'm going to say keep on prepping. Make sure you are looking for the best price in your long-term food storage. Now, for right now, your long-term food storage, your best price might be 50-cent cans of corn, peas, and green beans at Walmart. And then take a look at what you can do for proteins to supplement that with tuna, canned chicken, canned meatballs, canned chili, beef stew. Hormel beef stew has a very long shelf life. I found out something today I did not know. If you get the prepackaged, what's it called? Broth. If you get prepackaged broth, that it has a stable shelf life that can last, as long as it's kept in a cool, dark place, it can last forever. However, once you open it up, it has to be refrigerated and used within 5 days. I did not know that. So that's something I learned today. Okay, so this is how you shall greet the Israelites. Say to them, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and give you peace. So please, everyone, remember that we're all in this together. so we can come out the other side together. And that means we have to be kind, polite, and respectful to each other because we've got to be together. We've got to get this country back together as one united states. We've got to get ourselves back together as one united people because a house divided cannot stand. And so it's in togetherness where we need to be. Take care, y'all. Have a great week. And please stay safe. Bye bye.